my best.
That was a good job. That was a cheap shot.
I did my best.
You'll do better next time.
Do you know what I love about leopard geckos? They always look like they're about to make you a deal that you can't refuse. Speaking of good deals, we have Venom Life Gear, who has now started sponsoring the channel. So if you want an awesome t-shirt, a sticker, a hoodie, a lanyard, any of that, go to venomlifegear.com and use the code MAX10 for 10% off your order. Also, 10% of the entire sale goes to support the Asclepius Snakebite Foundation. That's a foundation that helps bring anti-venom to impoverished countries in Africa and Asia. This foundation has done amazing things, and they can do a lot with a little. So Venom Life Gear helps support them. Helping me supports Venom Life Gear. Buying that also helps support me. There's so much support going around, and you're being part of it. So go check them out, get a t-shirt, get something cool, and use code MAX10. So obviously this guy's comfortable with me handling him. He's sweet as can be, and he's not a mean lizard. In fact, there's not really mean lizards, there's just defensive. They're scared and they're stressed out. And so what we work with is exposure therapy, working with these guys. And blue-tongued skinks, their defense mechanism is notorious. Hissing, being all puffy, and then sticking out that famous blue tongue as a defense mechanism. Obviously, he does it as a smell now, but babies, they're notorious for just going bleh. So his name's Jazz. I probably should have just named him Gene Simmons, but he's awesome. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to talk to you about the different techniques and methods I use to tame down these guys, tame down these lizards, whether it's small like this blue-tongued skink here, or big like my Tegus or Iguana. So let's go through, check out some of the methods and procedures I do to tame down these guys. What this exercise is basically, I sit in the enclosure with him. I'll start petting him first with the towel, for that reason, for whips, different things like that. Eventually I move the towel away. Eventually, as he looks for a way out, he has to go around me, get close to me. So this is just a familiarization drill. I don't combine this with food because I don't want any sort of food aggression. I don't want him associating me with food. So another thing to consider with these guys is where their predators come from out in the wild. From a young age, their primary predator is going to be birds of prey, raptors, different things like that. For that reason, I come from under, and that way he's a little more comfortable walking through. I kind of do an under treadmill to where he can maintain moving, kind of get that sense of freedom, but he still stays close to me. So he feels nice, secure, so he's okay with me picking him up for a minute. He's gonna move. So this has been his temporary setup while he's been with me. Because of his strides, he's going to somebody else with experience. I got him when nobody had worked with him really, and this was him as soon as he walked into the room. So what I did was I put this enclosure right where I edit videos, and that way I'm constantly around him. So he gets constant exposure to me, so he becomes more familiar with me. So he has been sitting in here after I've worked with him for a little while. I came back, woke him up from a nap, so he's hissy all over again. The biggest thing with these guys is be patient, be safe, be persistent. But I'm the guy who brings water. He starts to recognize that I am the bringer of water and I am the bringer of food. For my own preference, I don't hand feed whatsoever. I don't want my hands to have any association with bringing food, so I always do tongs or tweezers of some sort, but he loves bananas, don't you, buddy? So let's cover a couple more lizards and a couple more methods that I use to help tame down these guys. So for Combat My Frilled Dragon, it's treat time for him. Bananas are definitely a treat since they're high in sugar. So with him, he's a big fan of them, and he just loves his bananas. But a big thing to remember is that frilled dragons aren't really, they're not like bearded dragons, they're not like skinks. Yeah, they'll tolerate you handling them, but they're not a big fan of it. So yeah, you can get them to a level where they're accustomed to you and that they don't mind you, but these guys are always just going to be display animals. They're wonderful display animals, they're wonderful animals, and there's a lot going on in his head. So he's really exciting, he's still rewarding, but he's not a lapdog. So even though their temperaments might vary a little bit, they are still reptiles, they're still lizards, and working with them, your end goal might vary just a little bit. Of course, him being a frilled dragon, I have him a waterfall because he likes his water moving. He's so spoiled. So this is my angry vegan. This is my blue iguana. Iguanas are known for their tail whips. This guy, but he's obviously angry. Doesn't take a rocket scientist. Some of the signs are him flagging, of course, his mouth being open. But an important thing is when I'm holding him, I have his tail tucked so he doesn't whip it. Iguanas are notorious for their tail. It does hurt. I'm not holding him, but he's just standing there at his own free will. I do have his tail lightly tucked to stop it from side to side, but I don't keep it so tucked that he can't move forward. So he can actually fly if he wants. What I do to prevent that is I have my other hand under this towel, and I can bring it up here so he doesn't want to move forward and he feels more safe there. Of course, if I brought it too close, the reason for the towel is to prevent bites to my finger. Obviously, you don't want to keep feeding him the towel because you don't want a piece to fall off going to his mouth. So I work with him here, I pet him, and I get him more accustomed to me. And if I have little pieces of carrots, squash, some leafy greens, I'll feed it to him now. And that just gets him accustomed. So this is a very assertive way of working with these iguanas. A lot of people take a very passive approach to let the iguana come to them. And I do those techniques too, to where I have food and I just sit and I sit until he comes to me to get that food, because I do like the positive reinforcement aspect. But there are times where I get that hands-on surface where he gets that exposure therapy where he starts feeling more and more comfortable with me. So obviously he does open his mouth, his pupils are dilating a little bit, he's flagging me, he gets nervous. But he does get that time to, as he starts moving his legs, that's one thing, a big thing that shows me that he's getting more comfortable. And as time goes on, he stops seeing me as a threat. So a big thing of letting them go is watch that tail, because now that he feels a little more free, he's trying to whip that tail. So I let him go back there, and he moves a little slower. He's not flying off yet. Sometimes he does, though. So again, he's in a very high traffic area. There's a lot of people that move through this area of the house. When I first got him, he was very flighty, and you would walk through the room, and he would be back and forth trying to find a place to go. Well, it got to the point where we even covered the sides here to make him feel a little more secure. As time goes on, he still watches us. These lizards are super smart, so he watches us as we move around the room, but because I'm still the guy who brings him water, I'm still the guy who brings him food, he starts recognizing all those positive things for me, and just the traffic coming back and forth, he starts to decide that we're not so much of a threat. So while he's still a juvenile, while he's still hesitant of us getting close to him, those are things that exposure therapy really helps wind down. Now, of course, this is all a progression. When I first got him, he wouldn't eat until we were out of the room. Then he would eat while we were in the room. Now he'll take food from tongs, and then eventually food from hands when I'm handling him. Because I'm filming now, I went through this process really quickly, but if I've been sitting with him for a while, he'll just sit there, he'll take the food, and he relaxes, just like I'm a warm branch to him. So he's really happy about that, makes me happy, and soon he's just going to be a big giant lizard dog, like all of these. So today I've shown you some of my meaner lizards, and the ones that need a little bit more work, and some of the techniques I use to help calm them down. Now the Tegu is moving to a new home, but this guy here, he's going to be sticking around with me, so you'll start to see him calm down in future videos, and soon he'll be a lizard dog. But thanks so much for watching. Be sure you subscribe, hit that like button, check out some of the links down below, including my Patreon if you want to help support the channel. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Also, 10% of the scale.